How you doing, everybody? First of all, before I go any further, my deepest heartbreak feelings to everybody in Southeast Queensland, Northern New South Wales, and wherever else in New South Wales who's going through flood circumstances at the minute. I live in Southeast Queensland, and yes, I felt the rain, but I've been so lucky in the where I live not been affected, my work not been affected too much. I am absolutely one of the lucky ones, and I want to pass on my deepest concern and let you know that my thoughts are with everybody. And if there's anything I can do to help, please just reach out. And on that note, if you are a player in these flood affected areas or a parent of a player, send me your email. You can have free access to rugbyleaguecoach.com.au for at least 3 months. You've missed out on so much lately. So that's my little piece there. This week on our analysis of Super League games and Super League teams, we're looking at the Catalan Dragons. And then just to put that in some kind of context, Catalan Dragons are one of the best teams in Super League. They lost the grand final to St Helens last year quite marginally. They were in the Challenge Cup, or won the Challenge Cup, didn't they, recently? And they're there or thereabouts again, judging by looking at them. I've had a look at the first 5 minutes of the game against Leeds at the minute. I'm looking at the first 5 minutes of every game just to see what the coaches are sending them out with. I mean, if you can't get it right in the first 5 minutes, when can you, So trying to pick the brains of the coach and see what they're doing. So let's have a look. We're going to look at a couple of defence sets, and then we're going to look at one set of attack. When I look at the Catalans' defence, all I see is structure, structure, structure. I'm really impressed with it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to pause the tape just there. I'm probably a little bit late on the pause there, so I'll just nudge it back a little bit. What the Catalans have produced here is almost a wall. They're coming up in unison. If we go back to the marker area and we just move it through slowly, the markers essentially split in opposite directions and then they fold into the defensive line. So what the Leeds attacker is faced with there is a wall. And that's going to force him either to come in sharply here or to try and run out there, which means the defenders can get the shoulders under the ribs there and really control him. As I thought, he went overs. Look at number 9 here. He's got his shoulders under the ball quite clearly. Again, a bit like previous teams that we've seen, bodies in the tackle. All 3 of them, to me, are making an effort to tackle with the shoulder, 1 over the ball and 2 of them under the ball. Also have a look at number 9, studs. He's kept his studs in the ground, which means he gets some purchase in this tackle. And look at the effort in trying to control the Leeds attacker. Notice I'm stopping short here of using names. That's just because in case I don't know some names, then there's no gaps in what I'm saying to you. We're here to look at the analysis. Look at this ruck control. Very, very well coordinated. The peel off there was excellent. Look at this line again. Every time the Catalans are providing a brick wall, there's nowhere for the Leeds players to run. I know this is early in the game, but the line speed is great. The collisions are good. That was a little bit chesty. I don't think that collision was as good as the previous one, and therefore the ruck wasn't as good as the previous one. So now they're on the back foot a little bit because of that collision. But even so, they still recreate that wall. And look at that for pressure. I thought that was excellent from the Catalans. Now, Leeds have got another 6. Let's see how Catalans defend now. I tell a lie, they didn't get another 6. I thought they did. Look at that chase. So they've now gone from split marker to first marker chase to chase the kicker. That's not bad pressure. And yes, people have dropped here. But they're ready for every eventuality. If Leeds want to shift the ball, they can easily slip back into that formation, that defensive formation. Good kick chase here on the end of one of their sets. Not the best collision, but otherwise the endeavour was there. In this area here, the defenders jump out so quickly that the referee gives a penalty. Now, although you'd never advocate giving away a penalty, obviously it just shows how keen they are to get off the defensive line. From the tap penalty, good shoulder collision. That said, Leeds are now finding a little bit of initiative on the ground. But even in what would be relatively poor rucks for the Catalans, they still create that wall scenario. A split marker. The A defender probably should be a little bit more advanced there. That's clearly a line. I do worry about this side, but they're just stealing a breather. No way through for the Leeds attackers. Good ruck awareness there, looking back at the referee to check. Look at that wall again. It's a French wall of resistance. Apart from that first ruck, most of the rucks have been a little bit sloppy, to be fair. I would imagine Steve McNamara was sending out a message saying to tidy up the ruck a little bit more. And obviously, because of the yin and yang of the game, Leeds have started to find a couple of ways of putting footwork on and getting quicker play the balls. Now, little chink in the armour here. The A defender hasn't quite made it up. You can probably forgive him here. But what that does is it actually brings one less defender in the defensive line, which means if Leeds want to shift the ball, they'll actually find an overlap. They try that. But once again, that Leeds defence doesn't panic. Sorry, the Catalans defence doesn't panic. And look at that for ruck control, considering it was a shift. This is excellent from the Catalans, and I loved how the players kept the studs in the ground there to get some purchase and influence the ruck control. A wall again. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from the Catalans. And yes, this is only the first few minutes of the game, but it's clear what the coach's instructions are. The only thing I'd add there is they probably need to tidy up some rucks, and I think that's quite easy for them to do based on their structures. Really impressed with the way they hold and fold the markers. A defender, B defender, C defender gets up, just presenting a wall to the Leeds attack. Now, it's not a complicated defensive system, and it's also really effective. Let's face it, this is a team that's been in the grand final, won a Challenge Cup recently. This is a team that's going to be there or thereabouts again. Let's have a look at one of the attacking sets now. So they have a ball roughly on a scrum line, I think. Yep. Probably could benefit from having a few more people following the football, but ultimately it looks like they're working to the right of the field. They're running with purpose. Interesting there that number 7 for Leeds had to make a tackle. They're now targeting the short side. What the Catalans have actually done in this set, they've brought the Leeds defenders across the field. So every Leeds defender has had to work laterally. And what they've actually done is tied the Leeds defence up on the Catalans' right, so on the Leeds left. That means that if they go long now to the left Catalans, they could potentially have an overlap. I'm not going to dissect the attack like I did last week. I'm just going to look at things a little bit more, less detailed, but more in terms of strategy. We've got the ball carrier here. It's pretty clear that he's got some kind of organised shape around him. If you're a defender, you don't know where that ball's going. Don't get me wrong, maybe these attackers can be a little bit flatter. This is indicative of early in the season. You do get your timing slightly wrong sometimes. That said, nice inside decoy, and now the ball carrier's got 2 options outside of him. That inside decoy has checked this defender, potentially checked this defender. Definitely has checked this defender a little bit because you can tell by his hits. And he hits the back man instead when they have a similar shape again. In fact, it looks like exactly the same shape, and this time the ball carrier carries the ball to the line. Now, just in that clip there, I'm basically saying to you, I feel the Catalans are going to have an excellent season. They're very well coached. So with their attack, they've taken play to their right, to the Leeds left. That means Leeds are going to bunch some defenders up over here. It means they're tying them up in that end of the field. As you can see here, lots of Leeds defenders in the screen here, pulled across the field. Now, this is the key to the quality of the coaching that is going on at Catalans. Okay. Yes, we could have had a better push on the short side there. That said, there's still 2 Leeds defenders who've been caught napping, if you like, or been tapped up by those attackers. The ball carrier gets the ball. He's actually quite square, which means these Leeds defenders can't leave him. They've got to stay with him. He throws a little dummy, not the most convincing dummy in the world, but throws a little bit of a dummy to the inside runner. And it's not clear now whether he's going to hit his front man here or his back man. That's why these defenders are pinching in. Don't get me wrong. Catalans have got to work on their timing here. They could probably play this a little bit closer to the line. Runners can be a bit closer together. Nonetheless, they have done so well to tie in so many Leeds defenders because Leeds are now short here. I actually think Catalans have made the wrong decision here. They should have gone wider again. There is a shooter here. Maybe they need to be a little bit deeper at second receiver. And I also wonder about the shape in the sense that they probably could have gone touchline to touchline more to create more space. But look at that. Good play the ball. And as I've said before, if you get play the ball on the scrum line, you should probably look at the short side. And there's a kick, and you've seen the defensive set that leads to. I have seen enough just in those 3.5 clips to suggest that Catalans are going to be there or thereabouts. I actually think out of all the teams I've seen so far that I've looked at in these little excerpts, Catalans are the best coach side so far. And obviously, to win a competition, a lot of it comes down to coaching, obviously, but also your cattle, how many of them stay fit, how many of them are healthy at the right stages of the year, and how well balanced your squad is. And all I'll say is the parts that they can control so far, Catalans are well on their way. Don't worry about them losing in the grand final to Saints. They only lost by a few points. You can easily turn that around. And it was another close game in round 1. Catalans are going to be there or thereabouts. Nobody will want to play them in the semis or a grand final this year. See you next week. NRL soon.